cámara 11. Le da pena, mira qué asco, tío.
You stream like this?
Qué asco.
Well, stick around. I'm going to show you
Siéntate, ya
to
es un
level up
antes y un
your
después,
stream.
tío. Lo hace por vengar vuestra, tío. No quiero, ¿verdad?
te
¿Quieres ir a la
quedas,
playa?
por favor,
Descansar.
Montoya.
Venga, lo voy a ver contigo. Venga, vamos a ver lo que te... Vale.
Por favor, Montoya.
You need to put for your stream using green screen whether you're on a budget or you're about to be a pro.
Montoya, vuelve.
Well, that intro was a lot tougher than I thought. What we're going to do is we're going to get started with how to use a green screen. I'm going to show you 3 different methods that are free, cheap, and a little bit more cost expensive. And these are the materials that I went ahead and used. Okay, so the first method that I'm going to show you here is a free, technically not free because you probably have to pay to get your Nvidia card. And I believe the requirement has to be a 2000 series or above. The streaming PC that I'm using currently has a 2080 Ti. So this gives me the option to go ahead and utilize the Nvidia Broadcast software. Assuming that you have Nvidia Broadcast, you're gonna go ahead and right click on your camera. You're gonna go ahead and click on your camera and you're gonna select filters. All right, inside of filter, you're gonna click your plus button here. And you're going to see an arrangement of different items. What you're going to want to look for is the Nvidia background removal. I'm going to leave this left as default and I'm going to click OK. And now you can see I have green screen, or technically the background is removed. Some of the edging may not be the best, but it responds pretty well. You can see around the edges here. So what you can do is you can mess with the mode, which is going to be working with quality or performance. So higher CPU usage, better quality. Or you can go with performance, which is lower GPU usage or good quality. Here's the performance mode. You can see a little bit of the edges getting cut off right away. If I go back to quality higher, and then the next thing I can do here is I can mess with the threshold. I can go down lower and you can see it starts to reveal. I can go up higher and starts to remove. So you might want to find a good threshold. As you can see, some of this is disappearing with the shadows. And then your last thing is let's go ahead and try applying some light to this. All right, so now I've plugged in my ring light. And I've put some light. So as you can see here, kind of cleaned up a little bit of the edges. You can see my head as well. If I go ahead and remove it and I bring it back, you can see the difference. So this is actually really well. You can see I do a lot of movement and it still does pretty well, except for, you know, where it might have some harder shadows. And let's go ahead and compare it to a background. So if I wanted to add a background, I just go over to my sources, go to click plus. I have a media source, which is a video that I want to click and add. I'm going to just click OK. I'm going to go ahead and navigate it. So the cool thing is you can actually see me behind me as well. I'm gonna click browse. I downloaded one off of Motion Array and I'm gonna select this background loop source. I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that it's looping. I know that there's no preview at this moment, but once I click OK, this should now bring up my background now. So remember, the only bad thing is with my background, you can see I'm covering up because of my sources. They need to be layered. So I'm gonna drag my media source here and now you can see my background. So let me put this back behind the display capture. So right over here, you can see this is my media source that I just brought in. This needs to be under my camera. So I'm gonna go back in and show you this again. And then now I'm gonna get my camera. I'm gonna increase the size here. And there, you can see I have a simple background removed. No need for a green screen. You can see with just one simple light, which is my ring light, I have a pretty good lighting setup here where you can see I don't really disappear as much, maybe aside from my microphone. What I'm gonna use is the Impact pop-up green screen. So this is about a 6-foot pop-up screen that I can just go ahead and put right behind me. All right, so now you can see here that I have my green screen, my pop-up screen set up. You can see that I have 1, 2, and I have 3 lights underneath. I'm gonna show you a different angle of what that would look like. Okay, so when you set up your green screen and your lighting, the idea is not to have any shadow being casted. So as you can see, the closer I get, the more shadows casted, but the further away, I have no shadow casted. Now, the only downside about this setup is I feel like you have to have a sufficient amount of light to get really crisp video. So you can see here, I have some hot spots from my lighting because I still have my actual natural light in. So I'm going to deflect this one just a little bit. Still no shadow casted. And the only other downside is now I'm only limited to being inside of the space of the green screen. So here you can see all the spacing that I have. I can push it up closer, but unfortunately I don't have anything to mount it on right now. I'm gonna go ahead and click on my camera. I'm gonna click on filters, or remember you can also right click as well. I'm gonna click on my filters. I'm gonna go over to my plus icon and I'm gonna look for Chroma Key. So I'm gonna select Chroma Key. I can leave it labeled as default as Chroma Key. And then you can see right away, as soon as I go ahead and select my Chroma Key, Now my background has been removed. Now, unfortunately, it's not like the Nvidia background removal. It's not going to remove everything. It's only going to select and remove green. And then you can see here, the more light that you have, the better. As you can see in this preview, the gray indicates the transparent that's going to happen. So you can mess with these sliders here, and you can see the more I go on these, the more it's going to take away from my overall video. So you just want to find a good balance. As mentioned, the more light you have, the better. It's going to make me gray. You can see it kind of adjust the color there. Opacity, make me disappear as well. So you just pretty much have to move these sliders to find your best adjustments here. Again, my main focus is just the green screen. So you can see that everything in gray is good. And once you can start to see on my shoulders that some of this will start to be a little bit gray, that's when I can go back over to maybe like my smoothness and my color spill and try to remove some of the gray. I'm gonna click close here. And then now you can see in my screen, I have the multiple version of me, but you can see that the green screen has been removed. So the next thing I'm gonna do before I resize it so that way you can see, I'm gonna go ahead and click the plus button here. I'm gonna go to media source, and I'm gonna go ahead and select my existing media source, which my background video. Click on that, click OK. I'm gonna get covered up. OBS will get covered up as well, but I'm gonna drag that like I showed you earlier underneath, or in this case, underneath my camera. I'm gonna go ahead and rescale it. So grab the edge and drag it. Remember, you can also scale by right clicking. You can go to transform and you can go to fit screen, and that'll fit it as well. And the same thing with my camera, I can right click. I can go over here to transform and I can go ahead and fit screen. And you can see that I fit the screen here. Now, I got this cool green screen action going on, but the only downside now is I can still see my room on both sides. Crop out the edges here. And in order to do that, I'm gonna hold down my Alt key, and there's on your bounding box, you're gonna see these side ones, which I know they're probably out of the range here, but I hold down Alt. You can start to see that I'm cropping some of my video. So I'm gonna do that on my right, and then I'm gonna do it on my left side as well. And I'm gonna do some on the top here to get rid of that extra excess video. Okay, so I'm pretty large, but again, I can go ahead and scale it down, adjust it, move it where I need to. And you can see I have really high quality video now coming from my green screen. So again, I'll show you that cropping option. I'm gonna go ahead and right click, transform. I'm gonna reset, transform. I'm gonna scale it down just so that way you can see it already smaller. So you see your bounding box around here. You just hold down your Alt key and then you just click one of these sides, and you can see now I'm starting to crop out these sides. Be nice if you lock it up as well on OBS. Make sure that you lock your previous layers, and then eliminating that excess background. And then I thought I locked that. And then I can move my camera wherever it is that I want to place it. So there is another way that you can go ahead and complete your green. Now we're going to show the last one. So our budget-friendly resort is now just using a green cloth that we got from maybe Joann's Fabric, Michael's, Hobby Lobby. Unfortunately, I don't have anywhere to pin this on, but if you're against the wall, you can feel free to grab pins and just pin it as best as you can. Stretch out the fabric as much as possible, and also ironing as well. So I'm going to go ahead and put this over here. I know I didn't do a great job with ironing this, but it still has enough light source. I can even bring down some of my light source if I need to. And I can show you that with even very minimal light that this is still gonna work. First thing I'm gonna do here is just reverse it. I'm gonna go ahead and crop out just to fit in that portion of the green screen. Okay, let me scoot in just a little bit here. This is just a repeat process. So we're just gonna go ahead and right click or click filters, go over to our plus sign, go to Chroma Key, click OK. And then right away, you can see that how it works just like that. I can go in and just adjust my similarity and smoothness. I'm gonna turn off a light source just to kind of show you more or less that even with dark, and this is just natural light here, how it still will work. Okay, now I've got my green screen. I'm gonna click on adding a new media source. Let me get my video, loop it, move this layer underneath. And then just like I said earlier, you just right click, transform, fit to screen, click on my camera, move this around here, and just like that, you can see that I have a budget green screen, and this is very low light. You can still see that there is a little bit around the edges here, but honestly, with just a little bit of light, you can see how that can be easily corrected. All right, so just a quick little kind of using all my setup. If I wanted just a floating head, I can use this here. I can right click, I can go to filters, add my chroma key, close, add my media source or bring it back up, And you can see now I have a floating head. That's how simple it is to use the green screen. So you can effectively use it with the Nvidia Broadcast software. You can use a professional pop-up green screen, or you can just use a green fabric that will allow you to go ahead and green screen. If you have any further questions, make sure that you put them on the comments, and I appreciate you guys watching the video. Stay tuned for some more OBS tips and tricks.